massive Oilers trade update, as this has huge implications on the team going forward, as one of the Oilers' best prospects has come up in trade talks recently, and someone could be on the move to the Oilers to bolster the lineup as we get closer to the playoffs here and closer to the Stanley Cup Finals. Hopefully, welcome back to Oilers Digest, everyone. My name is Nikash Ganguli. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. Welcome back to the channel. It has been quite the busy past few weeks in sports, in hockey, in Edmonton in general. So hope you guys are doing well today. But before we get right into the video, make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 2,700 subscribers, which means we're almost close to 3,000 subscribers. So if you guys are enjoying the content, the channel, all the news we're covering here on Oilers Digest, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. If you want notifications, hit that bell as well, because today we got a very, very good video talking about Oilers blue chip prospect Matt Savoie, if he could be traded, and potentially what could come back in return for Matt Savoie, who was a very, 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 very good player and doing well in the AHL. So let's get right into that. So obviously, if you guys do not know, the Oilers did acquire Matt Savoie earlier this year. In the summer, they traded away Ryan McLeod for Matt Savoie, which was a surprising trade on both ends, because a lot of people were surprised they traded Ryan McLeod. He was vital in the Oilers' run to the Stanley Cup Final, as you may know. And Matt Savoie from Buffalo is one of their top prospects. He was a 9th overall pick not that long ago. Showed a lot of promise. Someone who could be very good in the NHL soon enough. And now he's on the Oilers. Someone that could be an asset for them, whether it be on the team or be traded away as we get close to the playoffs here. So let's dive a little bit more into the trade here. So obviously Ryan McLeod, now he's on Buffalo. He's having an okay season, typical Ryan McLeod season. 27 points in 49 games. So it does seem like the Oilers were the winner in this trade. He's doing his thing in Buffalo. Buffalo is not a good team. The Oilers are a good team without McLeod still. So he's having an okay season. Just to give some context to the trade here. A lot of people were surprised again. But overall, I think the Oilers did come out on top. So quickly now, let's dive into Matt Savoie's stats here. If we dive into it, he is having a very, very good season in the AHL. His first full AHL season, he has 31 points in 40 games. He has looked very, very calm over there in Bakersfield for obviously the Oilers AHL affiliate. He just did win a championship in Moose Jaw, so he does have a little bit of championship experience, even though it is in the WHL. You still want to bring that experience to the next level. Try and win at every level, just so wherever you end up, you do have that experience of going on deep runs in the playoffs, whether it be the OHL, the WHL, the Q, the NHL, the AHL. It's always important to bring some sort of long-term experience in long games, long seasons to the team. So obviously last year in Moose Jaw, he was superb. Over 2 points a game with 47 in 23 there. And then this year, again in his full AHL season, not as many, actually pretty even, almost 12 goals, 19 assists for 31 points. He's kind of been an even player, hasn't really been a super goal scorer, super playmaker, a pretty even throughout the lineup player. He just projects to be a decent winger at the NHL level, could maybe come up to the Oilers soon enough, but they also could trade him. He is only 5'9", 180, which might be small for some GMs in the NHL. We know a lot of GMs in the NHL, they like the bigger, physically imposing players, despite a lot of younger skilled players still being well. And right now, he doesn't really have a spot on the team, because it does look like, based on this, they do want him to be a center. He does shoot right, but what's the point of calling up him to be the 4th line or 3rd line center? You already have McDavid and Draisaitl as your top 2 centers, so he's not going to have an opportunity at the top 2 centers. Your wingers are pretty decent with guys like Victor Arvidsson. Could he be better than him? Maybe, or maybe better than a Podkolzin, but you want him to develop because he's only 21 years old and he was only drafted 2 years ago, so having him marinate in the AHL was the best decision. But how long until he becomes that next level player? Because obviously, if we go into his contract here, it's a classic league minimum contract. In 2 years, it is up for extension, whether that be with the Oilers or another team if he's traded. So that could be something to look for as well. He's going to be a cheap guy who can maybe go to a different team and play right away. And it just seems on the Oilers right now, that's not the type of player that he's going to be for them, just because they have such a logjam at forward. Evander Kane might be coming back soon. We'll take another spot from him on the wing if that's where they want to play him. And obviously down the middle, they're relatively set. And I think if they do want to get a center, they're going to want an NHL experienced 4C or 3C, not a rookie that they're just going to toss in the lineup and maybe stunt his growth, obviously. So it will be interesting to see what else the Oilers can do with Savoie. Because if you are the Edmonton Oilers, you're probably not trying to trade off your roster. Because they are such a strong team. They like the guys they have. They've been solid. They've tried to bring in some mid-season acquisitions for a low cost. Kasperi Kapanen. John Klingberg just recently played his first few games. He's not looked the greatest, but it's Rusty's trying to shake off, obviously. He is putting up some points, but they're trying to have the low-cost guys, and Massawa would be maybe someone they could bring up, or someone they're looking for experience. Stan Bowman, the GM, has been on a lot of deep Stanley Cup runs, has won cups. He knows what it takes. He knows what the young players can do if they're useful, or if it's worth them to pitch them out the door and bring in someone very, very strong. But even if we dive into Savoie's recent run in the AHL, he's been even better, scoring at over a point per game. If we look at it here from Eric Friesen, Oilers top prospect Matt Savoie notched a goal and assist, or the biggest for the Big First Corner. That was on January 30th, obviously, and now he has 8 goals and 19 points in his last 17 games. So he has been turning on lately. Again, a pretty even player, 8 goals, 19 points. That will leave him with about 11 assists and over a point per game played. So is he ramping up to join the Oilers with a call-up? Or is he putting up that value to be traded for a marquee name in the trade line? There's been a lot of trades happening recently. A lot of big names. JT Miller just got moved. We had the Calgary trade with the Philadelphia Flyers involving names like Andrei Kuzmenko. And obviously the huge one, the Mikko Rantanen trade. So it does seem like NHL teams with the salary cap going way, way up in the next 3 years are willing to move these guys because they have a little bit more certainty of what their cap structure could look like in the next 3 years. So that could also be something the Oilers are involved in. Even though they do have to sign Evan Bouchard soon, Connor McDavid is a big contract that is coming up. Will they be able to re-sign him? They probably will be. They'll be able to throw whatever money they want to because the cap is going up. So Matt Savoie has went on a very good streak. He's also a very, very fast player. He's one of the fastest players in the AHL. If we look at the skills comp here, the Connors forward and Edmonton Oilers prospect Matthew Savoie, he wins with a time of 13.654. So he is anointed as the fastest man in the NHL. So he's super speedy. He's good at, he's a decent goal scorer, solid playmaker. Someone you might want to keep, but also someone you might want to trade. Someone the Oilers have been connected to is goaltender John Gibson, who is having a very, very solid season with the Anaheim Ducks. Despite the Anaheim Ducks not being a great team, they have been on the up and up recently. This year, he has a .913 save percentage in 22 games. He's been more of a platoon tandem goalie this year with Lucas Dostal, which has made his numbers better. In past years, he played a lot of games. Like, he had an 888 save percentage last year, 899. He hasn't been that great in a few years, and a lot of people were worried about how good he can be. And if the Oilers are a little worried about Stuart Skinner being shaky, despite Calvin Pickard having a great season so far, they want a goaltender who's had deep playoff runs. He's had a couple deep playoff runs almost 10 years ago, actually, which is pretty crazy. But he does bring that experience if they really want to. And his contract is pretty big, but there's less years on it. So you could see the the Anaheim Ducks maybe wanting to retain a little bit on it. They have a lot of cap space. They're not the greatest team right now, despite them trending upwards. Like, if you look at the contract here, it is done after a year after this year. So you could see them retaining maybe 50%. He does make $6.4 million. It's a lot of money. It would be hard for Oilers to take on. But if you add massive on that and maybe some other contracts that you feel are anchors or something like that, some people that are being overpaid, like a Jeff Skinner, maybe could be on the way out. I don't know. The experiment has not worked that well, obviously. But John Gibson could come in. I don't know how likely it is, just because they might be okay with Pickard and Skinner. But I think John Gibson would be important for them. If you are worried about Skinner being shaky again, he does have those on and off games where he's very, very shaky. But then he has those games where he looks like the goalie that brought the Oilers to the Stanley Cup Final. So it's very interesting. And Calvin Pickard has looked decent back there despite not having a lot of experience. So that could definitely be someone they could bring in. But one name that is very interesting that would make a little bit more sense for both teams is going to be Brad Marchand. He has been linked to the Oilers a little bit in certain articles and reports coming out because the Bruins aren't that good. He has like 1 or 2 years left on his contract, nothing crazy, just making over $6 million. He's gonna go play with Connor McDavid at the Four Nations in a couple weeks, so who knows what could come out of that. And he has 42 points in 54 games this year, but the regular season, despite Marchand being good, that's not when you want him for. You want him for that deep playoff run. The Oilers already went on a deep playoff run without Marchand. If you could add in Marchand and give up a Savoie, I think the Oilers would be better off for it. Because the Oilers, they're trying to win now, obviously. So, they're trying to win now, obviously. And Brad Marchand, he is the definition of a win-now player, of course. He is Canadian. He's had good things to say about McDavid. McDavid has good things to say about him. He is a player you want on your team, a player you hate to play against. But last year in the playoffs, despite him being a little bit older, he had 10 points in 11 games. And he's always been a consistent playoff performer. He has over 157 games played in the playoffs. So I think trading Matt Savoie for a player like Brad Marchand would be a good move. Now, if I feel like a lot of fans might get caught up in how good their prospects are. Like they have Sam O'Reilly, who's supposed to be decent. Bo Akey is supposed to be decent, and then a Matt Savoie guy who shows a lot of promise in the AHL. But I think with the Oilers, you have Draisaitl extended for a while. McDavid is kind of up soon. Like you might expect him to stay, but you still have to be worried about that a little. Bouchard extension is coming up very soon. You have to pay a lot of guys. Nurse is already making a lot of money, so I think a win now move, despite how cost effective Savoie might be, I think Marchand comes in and is the win now move that can bring you to a cup. Because when you win the cup, that's all that matters, of course. But guys, with that being said, let me know if you guys did enjoy the video. Do you think trading Matt Savoie for a guy like Brad Marchand or John Gibson makes sense? Or would you guys rather keep him on the team and just see what he can do? Maybe call him up after the trade deadline or see what he can do next year and save off and see what you can do moving draft picks or other prospects. So, like I said, guys, thank you guys, and hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Thank you.